As much as I might talk about Halo and Xbox, the truth is, I spent the majority of my time growing up playing on PlayStation consoles. The PS2 was, well, not my first console, it was the first console I had in my house. The PlayStation 3 and 4 made up pretty much all my middle school and high school. And it wasn't until long after to the PS5 generation that I was like, okay, let me try to main Xbox. Now, this generation's definitely been interesting, and I've gone from championing one company to another. But whereas I started with Xbox and then I had faulty parts and consoles meant to last only 3 years fail me, then I went to champion Nintendo and all of a sudden the Switch 2 and their weird money-grubbing graphics-first emphasis made me look like a jackass with all the videos I've been posting for like a year, glazing them and everything they did with the first Switch. So that leaves PlayStation. Am I necessarily going to glaze them? Is this the last bastion of hope for fair gaming that isn't jacking the price up to $100 per game? We will be talking about that later, and solutions that you can go for, so you don't have to buy into this fucking bullshit. Is PlayStation just the best alternative now for the foreseeable future? Yes and no. Let me explain why. I think the PlayStation 5 is a very good creator-first console. I say creator-first because it's great for recording stuff. The quality is very similar to capture cards I've used in the past, and I can record right there on the console, which is a really nice loop around because if you guys have been around since 2019, you'll remember that I started off on YouTube with recordings that I would take directly off the PlayStation 4 with Metal Gear Solid 5. So PS5 allows me to do this, so when I hear about games like Ready or Not coming out, the new Snake Eater remake, even if I end up getting them digitally on Xbox, I'll try to get them physically on PlayStation 5 so I can record them there, even if some of the games might come on discs that are just glorified store vouchers. Which is something that's really irritating to me, and this is where we start talking about PlayStation as gamer first. You see, PlayStation 3 was probably one of the best consoles ever made because if you have it in its original configuration, you could put in PlayStation 1 discs, PlayStation 2 discs, and PlayStation 3 discs. Not to mention that you could have access digitally to other weird PlayStation titles that you might otherwise not be able to get. It was a very consumer-friendly console that even let you play online games for free. But Sony's changed a lot, and now here we are with PlayStation 5. A lot of games come with barely any data on the disc. A lot of the store options on PlayStation 5 are much more expensive than their counterparts on PlayStation 3. They tried to kill and bury the PS3, like PSN, because they want people to forget how consumer-friendly they used to be. Not to mention that with the newer PS5s, they're really starting to push that whole digital-only as well. Now, my issues with digital-only is that when you're buying games, you're not really owning them, you're buying a license to play them. It's basically like a form of rental. PlayStation has, and probably will continue, to remove games you've purchased digitally if licensing issues happen, or if they just fucking feel like it. And that's another reason why I try to get my games physically, but even then, when they're just glorified licenses, you might as well get them digitally anyways. So for me, honestly, I feel like I'm kind of at a point where I'm actually not interested in PS6, whatever Xbox does next, or even the Nintendo Switch 2. I might get one of those consoles in the future, but I'm not going to be there on release day. Because I just know that pretty much every company has just become so anti-consumer. That's not to be all doom and gloom. See, today I do want to spend some time talking about PlayStation, because I feel out of, Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation, PlayStation's future, at the very least, is the most interesting. So today I'm Pliskin, and let's start talking about where PlayStation is right now, and where I feel it might be going.
That's it. That's it. Oh my God!
There are two main games that I can think of. Well, there's a lot of games I could think of, but for the sake of this video and keeping it, concise, there's two main games that really embody the PlayStation vibe that's going on right now. Let's start with their multiplayer online really popular game, Helldivers 2. Now, Helldivers 2 is probably one of the best live service games I've ever seen. The way you can actually unlock things in the new season passes or battle passes they release just through gameplay, even though you really have to grind, that's not too much of an issue because grinding is a lot of fun in this game. There's always weird, interesting weapons to mess around with, so while the sandbox isn't as tight as I would like it to be, again, I'm a weirdo with that kind of stuff, and the game is fun, the gunplay is fun. The controls are probably the best I've seen since RE6 and Metal Gear Solid 5. You can jump, dive, crawl, roll, first person down your sights, third person. I like how when you're aiming in third person, the reticle is really unique with the actual spread and having to refocus it with that little ball in the middle. I like how it encourages cooperation with vehicles that remind me of something we're going to be talking about in a little bit. How there's weapons that can be reloaded faster if you're doing it with a friend. There's objectives and doors that you need two people to open. Helldivers 2 is a really good fucking game. It would be one of my most favorite games of all time if it had a couple things. The first being split screen. When I'm hopping in this wannabe Warthog, when I'm seeing my brother play this game and pull off crazy things or reload things with a friend, I'm sitting there next to him and all I can think about is how I wish I could be playing with him. If Helldivers 2 had split screen, that would probably make up the majority of what you'd see on this channel. The second thing that concerns me ties into what I was talking about with PlayStation earlier. People have assured me that, it's going to be offline playable eventually in the future, but I don't have my hopes up for that. This is an online only game, which, granted, there's a lot of cool things that come with that, but when a game only offers online stuff, and you're sinking money into it, that means eventually you're going to get to a point where all that money and stuff disappears and you can't play that game anymore when it goes offline. Also, because it's purely online, there's weird stuff that can happen with desync or glitching out of the map or just weird stuff with connectivity. And while that's just par for the course for anything online, the fact that you're always forced to play online and there are no alternatives means that if you wake up and you're in the mood for Helldivers and you start playing it and this happens, there's not really much you can do about it. But why don't we go over to the single player side? After all, that's been Sony's forte for a long time now. This is Silent Hill 2, kind of an unofficial sequel gameplay-wise to The Last of Us. The combat functions very similarly, with a push-pull mechanic in which you can lay into enemies or use certain weapons to stun them and open up for stuff, hit them with power weapons, but you need to take care and either dodge or time your attacks because James, as much damage as you can do as him, can also take a lot of damage very quickly from the enemies. You see, the original Silent Hill 2 was okay, I played through it, I enjoyed it, but the gameplay wasn't really that enjoyable. And while there's a lot of games that I do not want to get the whole Sonyification, the Sonyification being, emphasis on dialogue-based conversations, emphasis on press triangle to interact, talk, and just really progress the game, and an emphasis on just photorealism in its graphics. While none of these stuff are bad on their own, I feel like the Last of Us-ification of Sony's games in general have caused a lot of games to lose their identity. Silent Hill 2 really benefits from this, and as a single-player game, it really kind of shows the benchmark of quality that Sony offers. And one of the things that I love both about Silent Hill 2 and about Helldivers 2 is the fact that they are kind of exclusive to Sony. I say kind of because you can still play them on PC because consoles just don't want to pay their developers enough to make it, an incentive to keep it exclusive on a console. But for the most part, the fact that I can't play Silent Hill 2 or Helldivers 2 on Xbox at the moment makes it feel a lot more special. When I boot up the PlayStation 5, I know the kind of games I'm gonna get from it. It reminds me of the feeling of booting up the Xbox 360 and knowing, hey, this is where I'm going to play Halo 3, Halo Reach, and Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. Here. Nowhere else. But then we start seeing all these articles and leaks, and we see Xbox just completely devolving into a point where it basically doesn't even fucking exist anymore. And there's some stuff about Halo coming to PlayStation. And while as a creator that's a little hype for me because that means it's going to be a lot easier to record new Halo footage, it's kind of like, okay, Xbox is giving up, Nintendo is getting very greedy, so is PlayStation just going to be the place to play games? First and foremost, which is weird because, you know, for a while PlayStation was like, oh yes, art pieces, this is crazy, we're pushing the medium, but now are we just gonna get those games for the sake of fun on PlayStation? Astrobot certainly makes it look that way. Anyways, the situation and the future of PlayStation is interesting, it's complicated. For me, again, that console is special because there are certain games I can only play on there. Again, I really want to play Final Fantasy 16, and PS5 is the only place where you can do that. I'm really looking forward to recording Metal Gear Delta, Halo, and, you know, Ready or Not on PlayStation 5, so as a creator, it's really cool for me. I'm pretty happy with the controllers so far. I just want a couple more split-screen games, please dear God. But yeah, that's my thoughts on, I guess, PlayStation, but just the industry as a whole. And just kind of like, while I wouldn't call PlayStation the last bastion of hope, it is interesting that it seems to be the most gamer-friendly at the moment, which isn't saying much, but I don't know, after the whole Switch 2 reveal, I'm looking at my PS5 with a much kinder eye nowadays. But what do you think about PlayStation? What do you think about the PlayStation 5? Do you like another PlayStation console better? Again, for me, it was the PS3, because it basically makes me one of the select few people that actually own every Metal Gear Solid game physically. Not, oh, here's a cartridge and there's nothing really on it, this is just a license to get it from the store. No, I own Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, VR Missions, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Peace Walker, Ground Zeroes, and 5, physically all on one console. I actually own them. And PlayStation 3 is really cool to me, not just for that reason alone, but having every Metal Gear game is pretty fucking cool. But yeah, what's your favorite PlayStation console? What do you think of the PS5? And how are you feeling about, you know, the medium as a whole? At least in the traditional mainstream console space. This has been Pliskin, over and out.
This is Solid Snake. Hey, subscribe to Pliskin Boy. God damn it.
You heard him.